Hey guys, today on Low Carb with Jennifer, we are going to make delicious keto scones filled with bacon. They are buttery and so delicious. You can find the link in the description below, or you can go to jenniferbands.com and search for Keto Scones. Hey guys, we are making keto scones, and these are savory scones, not stones. And they've got bacon and delicious stuff in them. So let's get started. And I want to tell you that these are easy. They're no fuss. I mean, you hear the word scone and you're like, oh my gosh, that sounds so intimidating. But these are really easy to make. So we've got some almond flour here, and we're going to add in baking soda. And the reason we use baking soda, it's a leavening, of course. We're using it instead of baking powder. And when you use baking soda in baked goods, you've got to have something like apple cider vinegar, some kind of an acid that's going to activate the baking soda. So we've got baking soda, and then I'm going to put in a half a teaspoon of salt. And we're going to mix all of that together. And then we've got really cold butter cut up, and we're going to add that to the bowl. And with either, forks or a pastry cutter. I don't have a pastry cutter, so I'm just going to use my hands. And I'm going to work this cold butter into the almond flour. And I'm going to do it quickly just so my hands don't make the butter melt. It'd be better if I had a pastry cutter, but I just haven't gotten one. So I'm just smushing the butter into the almond flour. And this is going to turn into like pea-sized little pieces of butter. And what this does in your baked good is it just adds butter, and it's just delicious. Little pockets of butter whenever they get hot in the oven. I want it to be about pea size. And all I'm doing is just smashing the butter in between my fingers. And of course, you want to make sure you have clean hands for this. Okay, that looks good. I'm just going to wash my hands really quick. Okay, our next step is our wet ingredients. So we've got 2 eggs that we're going to put in this bowl. And then we've got some apple cider vinegar, and that's going to activate our baking soda. And then we've got reserved 2 tablespoons of bacon grease from when we cooked our bacon. So now we're just going to beat these together. And now we're going to add them to our dry ingredients. And I'm just going to use my fork to get this stirred together. And scone dough is usually pretty crumbly. That's looking really good. And now we can add in our bacon. We've got about 8 slices of bacon that we've crumbled. It's about 10 ounces of bacon. And then we're just going to combine all of that in this bowl. Okay. And now we can dump all of this onto our board and form it into a disc. So I just want to make it about 1 inch thick. And spread it out. Make it round somewhat. You don't have to make it round. You can make it square if you want to. And then we're going to cut them into triangles. Okay, we are ready to cut these into the scones. So I'm just going to cut down the middle here. And then, how am I going to cut these? I'm going to make 8 scones. So, kind of like a pizza. Cut it in half this way. Oops. And then this way. Now with either a spatula or a cake server, I'm just going to take each one of these that I cut and put it onto my baking sheet. I've got this lined with silicone. You can also use parchment paper. These are not going to be perfect. I always think of scones as being pretty rustic. Okay, these are ready to be baked. We're going to bake them in a 350-degree oven for about 20 to 25 minutes, well, until they're golden brown. Okay, our scones are finished and they look amazing. Look at that. So let's open one up. I made these a little smaller this time and they took 8 minutes. So I will adjust the recipe, but they are so buttery and so bacony. You are going to love them. You can find the link in the description below, the link to the recipe, or you can go to jenniferbands.com and search Keto Scones. You're gonna love this recipe and I will see you guys later. Bye.